The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everybody, this is Jennifer Schaus and I'm joined today with Anna Ehrman from Tactical Insights, continuing in our webinar series on various government contracting issues. Today we're going to go through getting just more information about FOIA requests and how you can use that information to help propel your government strategy. The webinar is being recorded and it will be available for download probably tomorrow. So we'll send out a link with that recording to the audio and the slides. If you do have questions, over on the right-hand side of your screen you should see a drop-down menu for questions. If you type your questions in there, Anna will address those at the end of her presentation. Again, we want to thank you for joining us, and just a couple quick introductions to some of our partners. BidSpeed and Fierce Government. BidSpeed is a software program. The company is based out in California, and it's more or less a CRM program for government contractors. So as you're finding opportunities on FBOgov that you wanted to bid on and respond with a proposal, you can manage that internally within your company and assign different tasks. So if you do have a moment, be sure to check out FBOgov.com after the webinar. Additionally, Fierce Government is one of our partners that's helping to promote the series here. They've got a lot of really good in-depth IT government information. When you look at the different sources that are out there for government news and data, Fierce Government really does a good job of breaking down what's happening in the government sector and how it relates to business. Now on to Tactical Insight, which is Anna Ehrman's company. She is the founder and CEO. Her firm works with federal, state, and local government contractors, providing market research and data. So a lot of competitive intelligence and helping you identify opportunities to bid on in each of those different markets, as well as the competitive analysis, so you can see what other companies that are selling your products or services are doing, and she can kind of help guide you through that process. Myron Organizations, based here in Washington, D.C. Our primary focus is on helping companies with the GSA schedule, obtaining the schedule, maintaining it, renewing it, going through the audits, and helping you additionally with the federal sales and marketing. Our full webinar series is provided below. The link is provided below, and we've also got the recorded webinars listed there too. Okay, now I'll turn everything over to Anna, and she'll cover using FOIA as a government sales tool.
Thank you for joining us, and Jennifer, thank you so much for having me here. I would like to take a moment or a couple of moments through this presentation and kind of dispel this mystery behind FOIA requests. People don't take advantage of it enough. They see it as something that is too difficult, too cumbersome, takes too long. Can really be a useful piece of intel as you're trying to work on proposals or understand your customer better. Don't ignore this good resource that comes straight from your customer. So we'll talk about what a FOIA is, how you can obtain it, and what you can actually do with the information that you get through FOIA requests. FOIA stands for Freedom of Information Act. It's a federal law that allows citizens or requesters, whether it's individuals, press, or commercial entities, to obtain copies of federal records. What that means is anything that is recorded. So you can't make the government agencies write something down that they did not produce or that wasn't produced for them by a third party. This means that if there was a phone conversation and you want a record of it, unless it was recorded, you can't get it. If there was a list of attendees to something, unless the government wrote it down for their own purposes, you can't get it. And we'll talk about on the next slide about something else that that many people want but just does not exist. The other piece of information to keep in mind is that every state has a comparable Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, which is a Freedom of Information law, where you are able to access state and local records under their guidelines, just as you do with federal agencies. For the purposes of federal contracts, what can you get? You can get past RFPs, requests for proposals, also RFIs, sources sought notices, any types of documentation, paperwork, bureaucratic work product that was produced by government agencies. Obviously, you don't want to spend your time on a fishing expedition, but you could frame your request to include information that could reasonably be construed to be relevant for you. Contracts, task orders, modifications to contracts, or modifications to RFPs if that's material. If you want to track the whole life cycle of the contract, you could do that as well. The full list of what you can't get, or the FOIA exemptions under the law, if you click on the link that's next to the what can't I get, you'll get a full list of it in legalese, or actually in legalese explained. To simplify, you can't get anything that's classified. You can't get anything that's a trade secret. And unfortunately for our purposes, federal agencies have defined, and there's laws to back it up, that proposals and individual labor rates are trade secrets. They are excluded from FOIA because the information is unfair. It's considered information, a trade secret information that's protected for the purpose of the company that's putting a contract together, or putting a bid together. Bidder lists or unsuccessful bidder lists are not permitted because, A, that's information that the federal agencies don't maintain themselves, and the second reason is that it doesn't create a federal record, but it's prejudicial information for some reason to have a bidder list. Well, let me kind of backtrack, and you don't have to put the slides back. About the bidder list, on federal contracts, you can't get it in many state contracts. If you are looking for state and local bidding information, they do release bidder lists. So if you want to know who's bidding there, ask for it. The most important thing I could tell you is ask. Ask who you think is the right officer person, and ask for anything and everything you could think of. If they can't release it, they'll tell you. If they can release it, they'll give it to you. But if you don't ask, obviously you are not getting it. The best use of your time is to go as directly and as specifically as you can to the office that issued the particular proposal. If you can't figure out who it was, or if you don't know, or if you can't contact them, or in some cases if it was a regional contract that, for example, if it's Department of Interior contract that deals with all the offices on the West Coast, and you want a piece of paper that was issued by some little part-time park outpost in Washington State, you may not be able to get to that office directly. So go regional, and then if you have to, you could go to the FOIA office for departmental, for the whole department, and they'll direct your request internally. As I said, ask for everything you could possibly think of. Don't ask for things you know you can't get, because you don't. It's human beings, and they have to document everything, and you just don't want to make them angry. But other than that, ask for anything that could be relevant to your business case. Do ask for things in electronic format. It might be, if that's useful for you, it might be easier for them to send it electronically, because more and more records are being kept in a paperless repository. What else? As a commercial requester, your FOIA requests are not free. So what the agency will ask, or what you should volunteer to do up front, is to agree to pay some kind of fee for your FOIA request. I suggested $20. What you do is you say there in the text of your FOIA request, as a commercial requester, I agree to pay a sum of $25 if my FOIA request exceeds that, please let me know, and they will. The money is used for copies, making paper copies, so electronic requests, you're cutting down that cost, and it is used for legal review. Before a federal agency could release any document, they want to make sure that they're not sending you something they're not supposed to be sending. So you're paying for government lawyers there to do their work. In most cases, what will happen in 20 days is just a regular thin envelope and somewhat anticlimactic, where the agency will tell you, we're working on your request. We know we had to respond to you by a 20-day deadline by law. This constitutes our response, telling us that we're working on it because we're backlogged. Most agencies are backlogged, so don't expect anything to appear within a month. I would say about 60 to 90 days is reasonable. So as you're planning for that acquisition, if you saw something fantastic on FBO that you want to respond to, it's due in 2 weeks, I wouldn't hold out high hopes that your FOIA request will be there in time for you to make an informed decision about it. And in some cases, if they don't have the information, they'll tell you. Or if they need to transfer it, if you sent it to the wrong agency, or if your end customer was in one state and the procurement office for that agency is in a different state, they'll have to send it around or figure out where the paperwork actually lives. So why bother with the FOIA? What does it have in it? If the proposal is incorporated, you'll get information about, substantive information about the bid. Regardless, you will get all the government furnished information, such as the statement of work, the evaluation criteria, award criteria. You'll also get the final price. So you won't get labor hours. For example, the information you will not see is that database analyst was $100 an hour for a total of 2,080 hours a year. So that's the kind of information that's trade secret. But you will get a final total cost, and then you could extrapolate, because they will tell you how many hours of the data analyst, how many hours of project manager, how many hours of, I don't know, landscaper that the contract had. Hopefully, the information you get will be useful or will help you ultimately make that bid no bid decision for a contract, and will help define your win themes as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jennifer. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, everybody. We will dig into the question and answer session. I want to thank Anna for providing great content about FOIA requests, and I think many people either don't know that something out there like this exists, or they do and they think it's too cumbersome or it's going to take too long to get the information. And yes, sometimes it does, but it can certainly give you good intelligence about perhaps the incumbent where you're trying to bid for information. So I'm going to go through and read through some of the questions. Anna will address those, and we do have a full hour, so we've got ample time left. Again, feel free to submit your questions over on the right-hand side, and I'll read them in the order that they are received. Our first question reads, how do I know the right contract office to contact?
Good question. When you're looking at a document or an RFP, the first several digits of any RFP number or contract number are usually the same thing as the office that issued it. For example, any contract starting with FA0070 will be issued by the same office. If you go on FBOgov and you type in that contract number that you have or the RFP number that you have, you may get a notice, one of the FBO notices, which will tell you exactly what office it is. If it says nothing, on FBO, do what's called the advanced search. Look for documents that are both active and archived. So on the right-hand side, there's a radio button for both. and then type in just the first 5 or 6 digits of that contract document that you have, and that will give you a list of all the notices that match it. And you will see, even before you click on any notice, in that center column where they're all listed, 20 to a page, that they will all most likely come from the same particular office, the same contracting command, the same entity that issued it.
Great, thanks. How else do I get prices or a bidder list? Are there other resources to use?
Nothing formal, nothing official, but you could start to look at prices through, and Jennifer knows this probably better than I do, the GSA Advantage website. Companies that have GSA schedules publish their whole price list, and that's a good place to start doing your research, your competitive analysis. Another place is, the bigger the opportunity, the more information is published on it, but look at on-site BizOps, if there's an industry day, or if there's been a previous award or a previous industry day, look at on the FBO notice, the tab for interested parties. You'll get some information there. But they will also publish all the attendees to the industry days. If you can make it to an industry day event, go. If you can't make it, downloading that list will give you a good idea of who is thinking about bidding it, even if they didn't necessarily bid.
How much do FOIA requests cost, and do you pay up front? Can you pay in cash, or use a credit card, or do you mail a check?
Usually, a FOIA request I've seen as low as like $4 and as high as a couple of $100 on a major contract with task orders. It was heavy, so the shipping cost alone was like $20 or something. The agency will tell you before they bill you what it would cost. They usually send, they'll usually let you know. So for example, if you agree to pay $20 and they say that your request will come out to $90, they'll tell you that before they proceed so that they're not wasting their time and you're not wasting your money. When they send you the document, they'll send you a bill and they will expect a check.
What is the turnaround time from when I submit my question to the correct person and eventually receive the documents that I want?
I would say safely 60 to 90 days. Sometimes you can get it sooner, but I wouldn't count on it. There's a lot of money riding on every proposal effort, so make sure you have the time to properly execute it, including getting that intel like a FOIA request.
Are my FOIA requests anonymous, or does anyone know that I've made a FOIA request?
There's not a list, so technically they're anonymous. However, if you are, let's say you are bidding on a contract with the Federal Aviation Administration in their DC office, they'll know, because it's the same office that's issuing the request that has the contract document that's sending it to you. They'll know. So it's not an official institutional kind of memory, but the person making the copies will know who's asked for it. Some companies really don't care or don't mind that their customer knows that information. Some companies do, especially if they don't want to see their proposal coming. It's part of their internal strategy, in which case they will employ a third party to issue their FOIA request for them. And I've done it for some clients as well.
Okay, that's kind of what the next question reads. If I want to remain anonymous, can your company submit the FOIA request for me?
Certainly. Yep.
Next question reads, how do I write a FOIA request? What information must I include?
Good question. This is I should have mentioned it earlier. This is kind of the scary part that doesn't need to be scary. Most FOIA requests, unless the agency tells you specifically, but most FOIA requests are a simple email in which you ask as much information as you want. You also give them as much information as you can. So if it's a contract that was issued on, I don't know, a contract issued on December 31st, 2012, if it was issued by this office, the contract number, or contract issued to a certain RFP number. If you don't have that information, give them as much as you can so that they could figure it out. For example, I know that Lockheed Martin won a contract for airplanes at a certain agency, but I could not figure out what the contract number was. Well, tell them that it was Lockheed Martin. Tell them that it was approximately in November, and it was by this certain office. Right. The other thing you need to include is the commercial requester money part, and you don't even need to worry about citing the specific statute.
Do I have to give my company name when I make a request, or can I submit my request as an individual?
You could do it as an individual. It doesn't really matter. If you're not a nonprofit or if you're not a media source, you'll be considered a commercial requester, whether you're doing it as Anna Ehrman or a Tactical Insight LLC.
How many years back can FOIA requests go? Is there a limit?
The Freedom of Information law is not uniform, so it's not that the government keeps everything for 10 years. I would expect them to keep contract documents maybe 5 years after the contract expires. Probably not much further than that. Sometimes they're managing or trying to archive their documents that don't make sense. So the legal answer here is it depends. Usually I found that, especially when we're talking about contracts, anything older than 5 years is irrelevant regardless.
If I'm submitting a FOIA request on ABC company, will that company be alerted that I've requested this information?
It will not. There are some rare cases where the federal agency doesn't have all the documents and the company is maintaining it. Then they'll request that information from the company. I've also seen it if you're asking for a bidder, not a bidder list. If you're asking for prices and the prices have not been redacted, so the federal agency has not come in and basically put a black marker through all the line items, they might ask the company if it's okay to release the prices. If you're in that position, don't say it's okay to release your prices, but it never hurts to ask for them.
Is the information in FOIA requests more detailed than what I can find on FPDS?
It is, because you're requesting copies of actual documents, whereas FPDS has the government's information. So for requirements, all it will have is a summary line, or in some cases, a couple of paragraphs. And I forgot to mention this. Before doing a FOIA, or if a FOIA fails, Google the contract number. You never know, some of the information will be in there. Also, FBO keeps, they archive the documents and they keep them for about a year. So if you do an advanced search and you search both the active and archived documents, you might get an older RFP. It just depends. There's no uniform rule that how long FBO as a third party has to keep that for companies. But sometimes you could Google things that and get PDF contracts, especially if they've been released electronically before.
Can you do a FOIA request on a company? For example, if I want to find all of the federal contracts that ABC company has, can I do a general FOIA request? If so, where should I send that request? You can't do that because a federal agency, through the FOIA process, you could only keep records that a federal agency has. If Lockheed Martin built, let's say we're talking about Department of I don't know, Homeland Security, Lockheed Martin built an IT system and some airplanes and provided a tech support help desk person. Not only were they issued by different offices and agencies, but there's no reason for a DHS to keep all that information in a single database or a single repository. What you might want to do in that case, if you're interested in a particular competitor, go to FBDS. It's fbds-ng.gov.
or usaspending.gov. Those are databases that pull from the FPDS, Federal Procurement Data Service, which are a list of obligations. So anytime a federal agency pays a contractor, changes something on an existing contract, maybe adds money or takes away money from a contract, they have to report it to FPDS, and then FPDS makes that information public for everybody. So if you search by company or if you search by contract number, that's the easiest way to get a list.
Great. And just so in case there's anyone on the line that's not familiar with FBO or FPDS, FBO is Federal Business Opportunities, so FBOgov, and FPDS is the Federal Procurement Data System, FPDS.gov. Next question reads, should the fee be included with the written FOIA request if I'm sending the request other than electronically?
No, they'll send you a bill. You can send them a check, but they can't do anything with it until they give you the final quote anyway.
Okay. What is the best way to submit the request? Are there standard forms?
No standard forms. The easiest way is to do it electronically, send an email address. Actually, what I have done, and this is kind of, well, I don't know if it's kind of sneaky. If, for example, you're working with Office X and you want to get a copy of their past contract, what I've done is ask for, dear procurement officer, and this is not an official FOIA request, but if I'm asking questions about an upcoming bid, dear contracting officer, do you have a copy of the existing contract? Could you send that to me? Or if you don't have it, can you tell me where I need to send a FOIA request to? Sometimes they'll send you the information because they don't want to go through the paperwork and the recording requirements of a formal FOIA request, so you might get the information faster. And if not, they'll tell you exactly where to send the FOIA request.
I think that's why her company is called Tactical Insight. Good answer. Next question reads, if I had a nonprofit, could I submit the request on behalf of my for-profit contracting business? I don't see why not. Frankly, I don't think federal agencies have resources or the inclination to connect for-profit, nonprofit businesses. There are a couple, and you can Google it, there are a couple of places where you could find templates for different requests. There's something, an organization called NFOIC, National Freedom of Information Coalition.org. They have templates or examples, but there's no specific wording that they're looking for. If they really want to be difficult about it and require a FOIA, give us a citation of a statute, which really doesn't happen all that often. I haven't come across it, and my first FOIA requests were in 2004. But those organizations could help you find a particular agency's Freedom of Information Act sub-statute. Great. We still have questions. I'm just going to advance to the next slide so you guys have Anna's information, but we're still going strong here, so stay with us. What's a good way to find the contracting number? I don't know if they mean contract number or contract office phone number.
Both could be found. Use FBOgov as your first place to look. It's if you're looking at a are you looking for the contract number?
The best place to find, it says contracting number.
Okay. So. The contract number or the request for the RFP number will be on the solicitation. So if there's a FBO FedBiz Ops notice on it, it'll be on there. It's depending. They're stylized by the agency, so I can't tell you it's a 12 or 15-digit number because they're different. If you're looking at past awards on FPDS.gov or usaspending.gov, it's called a contract number or solicitation number or something. If you download from USA Spending, if you download the spreadsheet, it's I forget the column number, I should know it, but it's called PIID, which is Procurement Instrument ID. If there's a specific agency that you were looking for their contract numbers, send me an email and I'll help figure out, I'll give you a sample of what their contract numbers look like, and I could even help you find it.
Can you request a FOIA request as a debrief?
No. So if you submitted a proposal and did not win and are looking for a debrief, you can request that in person or in a written form. Other companies cannot access that information. That's trade secret because debrief is very much strategic information to the particular bidder. So the kind of questions you can ask and the kind of questions you should ask the contracting officer in a debrief have to do with why you weren't successful, what could you do better, are there opportunities coming up that you could bid on and maybe prove to them that you're a contender. But other parties cannot have access to the information that you provided or was provided to you in a debrief.
Is there a certain amount of time that I need to wait to obtain a FOIA request? For example, if a contract was awarded yesterday, can I obtain the FOIA request today?
Well, the FOIA request will, think of it as a timestamp. As soon as you send a request, the government has to provide you the documents that it has in its possession that are releasable as of that date. So if the contract is signed today, they may not have all the paperwork worked out. They may not have it filed properly. I might wait a week or two just so that you get the most information that they have, and it's all in one place.
Can you obtain FOIA requests on the subcontractors?
You can. Some information is available as a named subcontractor to the government, but it's not much. The actual subcontracts are in possession of the prime contractor, and you cannot obtain you cannot FOIA documents that are in a private entity's hands. Only information that is owned by the government.
If I submit a proposal and do not win, and subsequently another company submits a FOIA request, will my company name show up as a non-winning bidder?
No. Federal agencies cannot release bidder lists, and they certainly cannot release proposals that were submitted that were not incorporated into the final contract. That remains, that's not government-created documents, and it's not government-owned documents.
I think that may be it for questions. Last one came in. Where can we get this recording for review? The link that I had on the previous page, you can use that, but just I realized I threw a www in there, so take that out. Let me go back. Just pull it up. So where it says the webinar is recorded and available at, it should be http://jennifershouse5.eventbrite.com. We'll also send this out to you with the audio and the slides. Anna's information is on here as well, and she's obviously the subject matter expert on FOIA and kind of all things related to data and information within the government. Again, a special thanks to Anna, as well as Anna Ehrman from Tactical Insight, as well as Fierce Government and Fed BidSpeed. We've got webinars coming up on Friday of this week on bid protest, and Tuesday of next week we have SBA 8A certification. Next month we might roll out some additional topics, but that's kind of what we have on the calendar for now. Anna?
Thank you very much. If you have additional questions, please send me an email. I'm a researcher at heart, so I love looking into things and trying to figure it out and get information. So I'll try to help you get your FOIA request answered. Thank you.
Great.
Jennifer.
Thank you, Anna. And by the way, we will both be at the OSDBU show on Thursday, which is at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center. So you can look for both Anna and myself there. Thanks again, everybody.